This is Chilling.
Michael's story exemplifies courage in the face of fear and vulnerability in the face of pain. Now, he wrote down all this in his memoir titled The Goldmine of Potential, which is a very powerful tool that is looking out to inspire and motivate all the youths out there. This author is very fascinating. I'm going to be fortunate enough to sit down with him in the next minute. But before that, please check out the loft.
Our location this weekend is the Penthouse Inn, located in Namugongo. Light, volume, glamour, and enough space to live and entertain on a grand scale.
My name is Michael TURYAKIRA. I am a married man, a father of one child. I'm an author and also director Israel Orthotics Limited. I come from a family of 6 children, and I am a second born. It's a nuclear family, and we grew up in Masindi district because my father was transferred there when I was in primary 2 from Kabale district. So I can say my home is Masindi district. We grew up going to church, but of course for me to be really committed, I got committed when I was in senior 2. But the family I grew up in was a loving family, a good family, I can say. I started my schooling from nursery, and it was a private nursery in Masindi district. And one story interesting about nursery is what my parents say. I was a very social boy, young as I was, and I would go to break time. I would just go home with the whole class, and I take them to my home for break tea, and then I leave. And then later I joined a primary school, which was actually a public school. I was there from P1 to P4, and then I joined the private school from P5 to P7. It was a private school, one of the best schools in Masindi by then, Chitara Parents School. And in P7, I became the first head boy of that school. And then from there, I joined the secondary school called Kabarega SS, which was the best school by then. I was there from senior 1 to senior 6. I did my secondary from Kabarega Secondary School. And then from Kabarega Secondary School, I found myself in Mulago Paramedical Schools. Mulago Paramedical School was a school that used to take in students who wanted to do sciences, and I found myself doing medical entomology and parasitology in the institution called Mulago Paramedical School. And then when I finished that course, I worked for some good years, and then I enrolled also for bachelor's in business administration and marketing management. How did I come to Kampala? Of course, after senior 6, when I got a vacancy in Mulago Paramedical School, I found myself coming to Kampala, but I was residing at my uncle's place by then. And then I went and did bachelor's in St. Lawrence University. When I finished that bachelor's, that is when I got the vision of starting my own company, and I had to resign, and I started my own company. Yeah, about writing, I would like to start by saying that you can't write unless you read. And initially, I was a poor reader, but of course, with time, my wife, she was a good reader, and she used to encourage me to read. And I found myself starting to read. And of course, as I developed that habit of reading books, I found myself writing, and I developed a desire to write. And my first book was Breaking Marketing Pain. Reason being, I'd worked as a marketeer for 7.5 years in the field. So I got the idea to write, but of course, starting to write was a big hassle for me. And so I called one of the authors, and I asked him, how do I start? And he told me, just get a book and a pen and start writing. Whatever comes to your mind, start writing. And so I started writing, and before I know it, I found myself having a book. And that's how I started to write. But I want to tell the viewers out there that you can't write unless you read. So you've got to develop the habit of reading, and then writing will come.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the best of the good life. More than ever, my name is Rago. Oof, what a thrill, what an excitement to be back on your silver screen. Now, whenever it comes to Sundays, you know that we're always looking out to inspire you. And I always bring, a guest, one or two that can really infuse in some positivity into your life or even give you a sense of direction. Now, they always say that you are as only connected to other people in the world as you're connected to yourself. And now when it comes to self-acceptance, it's not all about being the greatest at what you do. Today, we are very thrilled and excited to have a young author on the show. He goes by the names of Michael. Now, Michael is an author to 2 books. One is called Breaking Marketing Pain. Very fantastic read to every person that is doing marketing in that field. And the other one, which is my personal favorite, is called The Goldmine of Potential, which is a testament, to his unwavering determination and faith when it comes to life. Now, he has done this book that he has pushed out, and he's looking out to inspire a lot of youths. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back. In fact, lean forward and listen to the incredible Michael. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Drago.
Wow. You have written 2 books.
Yes.
Breaking Marketing Pain, and then my personal favorite is called The Goldmine of Potential, which is an highlight, which is a window into your life, how you struggled with faith and how you faced all these challenges. And it's a testimony to show that anyone can be a champion, given that you don't give up in life. Tell me, first of all, the title is very enticing. Why The Goldmine? What are these gold nuggets somebody should be maybe looking out for in this book?
Yeah, why gold mine? Gold mine means that whatever is in that book is gold. And so what did I talk about? How do you stand out? Like if you're a youth, how do you stand out as a youth? If you're a parent, how do you stand out as a parent? If you're a student, how do you stand out as a student? If you're a young person and you're now dating, how do you stand out in that area of dating? And that's why I called it gold, because whatever is there is practically gold. And so I would like everyone to read and discover that gold there.
Yes. Also, something more interesting about this book and Breaking Marketing Pain is that these are the very first 2 books that you've written.
Yes.
True?
Yes.
So one, which is Breaking Marketing Pain, necessarily targets those people who are into the marketing field.
Yes.
You've ever done that before?
Yes.
Take me through that. What happened?
I've done marketing. I started my marketing career in 2011, January. And so I did it up to 2019. That's close 7 to 8 years when I was doing marketing. And I must say, when I was doing marketing, there are some challenges I faced in marketing. Very many challenges. And so because I faced them, I thought maybe I need to bring this out to the people who are young marketeers in the field so that they can get to know the challenges they face. How do you overcome them? Because I was also once there and I overcame them. And most times we read books from out, written by whites, but who are in different geographical area. So I thought, being a Ugandan and I'm an African and I'm in this continent, I can write what we basically go through, physical ones, yes, and which other people can face likewise. So I thought when I bring it out, I can help a marketeer out there.
And it's very rare, Michael, for a young person of your age to write a memoir at their age. I mean, where did the idea come from? And why did you have that feeling that you wanted to share your story with the world? With this book, The Goldmine of Potential, because this is simply your memoir. And I'm surprised that it's such a small volume. Is this all you've experienced in life, or there's another volume to it?
Another volume will come later.
Okay.
But that's basically what has gone through up to now.
So tell me, why do you decide to tell your story? And why now?
The reason why I decided to write my story was because I wanted to help someone out there and to show that to live a purposeful life. When you share your life with someone, there's a sense of you living. There's a sense for you to live in this world, So I felt that passion of sharing what I've gone through to the outside world so that they can see what they're also going through and maybe how they can be helped in case they are not doing well, how can they overcome over that area, because literally what I've gone through is what a young gentleman outside there is going through.
Michael, in this book, you go ahead to testify that the most important things that happened to your life are 2 events. One was the time you turned your life to Christ. And secondly, was the time you met your lovely wife, Madame Doreen. But let's first talk about that timeline when you first turned your life to Christ. Faith must have come in as a very essential tool in your life. Especially this happened when you're still at school, right? This canteen woman was selling, was it
Eggs.
pancake or eggs or something, like some snacks, and she called you, she's like, hey, young man, why don't you turn your life to Christ? Give us that insight. Tell us more about that.
Before I met that woman, I used not to go to church actually. And like I said in the beginning, my parents were not born again, but they used to go to church. I can say they were church goers. So they would also go with my siblings to church, and I would stay home because I saw myself having no future. I saw myself like a gone case. I don't know why it came. I don't know whether it was the devil whispering to me, but that is how I used to see myself. And so whenever they would call me to go to follow them to church, I would not go there. So one afternoon when my mom was from church, she asked me to go and buy some eggs. And of course we had that one old lady who used to sell eggs because her eggs were nice. So this time I reached there and she's like, but young boy, you've been my consistent customer. Have you ever given your life to Christ? And I was honest enough. I told her, no, I've never given my life to Christ. Then she said, but why don't you give your life to Christ today? And I lead you into confession prayer. And I thought about it for a moment, and later I accepted. And so she led me into a repentance prayer and to a confession prayer. And then after that, she hugged me, and then she, of course, prayed over me, and then she asked me to go and tell everyone at home that I'm born again. But I want to assure you that the moment I accepted, I felt like a whole huge mountain was off my back. I felt very light. I felt life was transformed.
And what was your parents' reaction?
When I reached home, I found my mom, and she was the first person I told, and she was like, are you sure? I said, yes. My siblings were like laughing it off. Let's see whether in 1 week you will not be backslidden. And so they gave me a week, a month, a year, up to now. So, but they started seeing my life change, because by then even I used to be falling sick now and again. I was like a weakling, but the sickness disappeared because I would go to the hospital and they would check blood and there would be nothing. And so when I gave my life to Christ, the sickness disappeared. I became vibrant. I changed. My life changed. At school, they chose me to be among the Scripture Union leader, to be the treasurer. And so life began to change. I started seeing life meaningful.
Okay, so and the second time was when you met your lovely wife.
Yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit, because she wasn't, they say, an easy nut to crack.
Yeah, that lady, I used to see her when we were in Marago Paramedical School. And so when we finished and I started working, I think one year down in the field working, I saw the lady was really good, understanding, God-fearing. And so I said, why don't I launch my manifesto to her? So I went and proposed to her. But of course, that first day when I proposed to her, she gave me an F9, if I can say, failure. Because I remember after proposing, she actually sat and crossed her legs and said, Mike, I think among the sample men I have, you are not among a man I can get married to. And besides, I want to first of all go for further studies, and I also want to first of all establish myself. So please, I would advise you to go out and look for another person. I can tell you I froze at that time. And I had to look for where I came from, and I went back to sleep. So it took me some time to get healing over that. And so I took some time, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And I would meet her on the way, like at church, and she'd decide to dodge me whenever she would see me. And I would wonder, why is she dodging me? I didn't abuse her, I didn't what? I would want to say hi, but she would just dodge me around. And so after some time, like towards 9 months down the road, I started seeing some signs. Like I had my young brother, and she would call him for breakfast. So those signs started showing me that, I think there's a green light here. So again, I asked her for appointment to see her. This time I met her, and then I went on the same point. And she told me, since the first time you proposed to me, I've been studying your life, sending even spies who are ladies to check whether you have another girlfriend and you want maybe to pray that girlfriend with me. And I realized you're an intact man. I think you're the right person I can move with. That is when life changed, and I felt.
And wow. As they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history.
Well, you can find all that and more of the stories in the Gold Mine of Potential. It's out and it's available for sale. All right, so Michael is also a CEO of his own company, which he named after his son, called Israel
Orthotics Limited. Yeah.
Exactly. So we take a break and we'll be right back shortly. Don't move anywhere, please. Stay with us. We're still here with Michael. And welcome back to the Best of the Good Life. Now, if you've been with us since the beginning of the show, today we have decided to sit down with an author, an interesting character. This man, you know, it's very rare you find a man of our age who gets to write a memoir, and he did push out one. His story is a sign of growth, is an encouragement. It's something that you can emulate. You know, anybody that is around his age or anybody that is looking out to be inspired. You can get yourself a copy of The Goldmine of Potential, which is available everywhere, even on Amazon, for those that want to get the grocery format. All right, now Michael, on the first part, when I was concluding, I mentioned that you're a CEO of your own company that you named after your son, Israel. By the way, how is he?
He's fine. He's fine. He's turning 10 years this year.
Okay.
In June, 1st June, yeah.
How does it feel like you see so much Israel in you? Like Israel is more like you. Like you're teaching him so much. You're teaching him the culture of reading. You're teaching him you're teaching him his faith. You're exposing him to so many things and this quality. Why is it so important that you're instilling these values in him?
It's very important because, you know, when I'm raising him, I want him to be like me. I want him to follow my footsteps so that even tomorrow when I'm not there, he can take it on. Even the company, he can take it on. Everything that I'm doing. You see, when you study these other people like the Indians and what, you realize even a small business, when a child is young, you will bring that child in the business to teach him on how everything goes by. So, but most of us, we don't believe in that. And so you find when you are no longer maybe existing, the business collapses, the company collapses, there's no legacy, there's no one you have left behind. And so for me, it gives me satisfaction when I know, yeah, when I'm reading books, he's also reading. When I'm going to church and I'm reading the Bible, he's also doing the same thing. And even in the company, I take him sometimes on Saturdays and I show him how things are running. And so I want to nurture him so that he becomes even better than me. And I feel
because you even actually took an upper hand of strongly inserting these values in him, in so much so that in the book you mentioned that you got him off TV.
Actually, we had a TV, and then we decided to give the TV away to our friends, so that now we improve on buying books, and so we have a library in our sitting room. So there's no way he can be tempted to watch the TV. So any free time he gets, he reads the book. Actually, he now wants a jazzy, and we have told him, when you finish 10 books, you will get yourself a jazzy.
Which jazzy is that? Which club?
I think, let me leave it to
You are a wise man. You are a wise man. But I know it starts with A, but who cares? Who cares about that club? But hey, listen, this is very interesting. Tell me about the company and what Israel Orthotics does. What is it all about?
The word orthotics actually means the appliances that help maybe in aiding the body ailment. When there's body pain, what do you put on to aid you so that you don't feel that pain? Like, for example, if you have a back pain, we have what we call the lumbar sacral belt or the corset. When you put it on, you don't feel the pain. If you have the edema, you've seen people oversit and they get the swelling of the legs, blood doesn't move, they get the varicose veins. We have what we call the medical compression stockings, which actually apply pressure here, and that pressure forces blood to move. And so I actually advise people not to oversit. For every 1 hour of sitting, please wake up and walk around like 30 minutes, again sit, or get a standing table to avoid oversitting, because it leads into the swelling of the legs. Why do the legs fail? Because the veins that bring blood to the heart become very weak. And so when they are weak, they can't force blood, they can't pump blood to go up. Why? Because veins pump blood when they are exercised. That's when they gain the strength to force blood to move. So we did in medical compression stockings, the lumbosacral belt, we have the infrared blood saturation fit massager, we have all that, the arm slings, whatever aids anyone who has pain on the body.
Where are you located?
I'm located at Discover Plaza, William Street, second floor.
And then writing on the side, which we want to majorly focus on. So who are you targeting when it comes to the gold mine of potential? Let's first talk about this. Who are you targeting? I know it has to be the youth, right? Does somebody have to have passed their prime time? Do you believe there's a hope for everybody in life, even when you're 80, 90 years old? So whom are you targeting with this book?
Actually, with the gold mine of potential, I'm actually targeting all the age groups. As you read, I think you saw a story when I was in 5 years, or I think when I was 5 years old, when I was trying to stone my mom when she asked me to wash dishes, and I didn't like washing dishes because I didn't like it.
He was a stubborn one.
Yeah. So as I was throwing stones, my neighbor, who was the officer in charge of prisons by then in Masindi, sent an escort and gave me some strokes of canes, and I left that habit. I saw an idea there of community responsibility, which has actually died out today. Today is about my son, my daughter. I don't want to know about Dracu's children, even if I call them.
The whole saying that it takes a village is dying out.
Yeah, it's dying
Everyone
out.
is fighting for their own. Yeah.
So we need also community responsibility should be instilled again. We should be minding about others' children, like my children. When I see someone going astray, I should be able to direct the person.
Wow, amazing. So now, Breaking Marketing Pain. You said it was your first edition, right?
Yes.
The very first book.
Yes.
And that you wrote it based on the experiences you faced as a marketer.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're saying it could be a fantastic read for any marketer out there?
It's a must-read book for every marketeer because whatever I interfaced, like in terms of challenges, how I overcame them, all that is in that book.
What was your greatest lesson, and what do you regret most in life?
What I regret?
Yeah.
What I regret
Let's
most
first with what is the greatest lesson you've learned in life?
The greatest lesson I've learned in life is being focused. Like being focused and knowing what you want, not minding about other things. Otherwise, you can end up losing track. You can end up losing track. Like in our fields where we work, if you're not focused, you can end up, of course, breaking your marriage, breaking everything. And of course, if you're not focused and you're not respectful, you can even lose your job. At sometimes you need to know how to play the cards well for the sake of you're moving forward.
Okay, so in Breaking Marketing Pain, you quote Zig Ziglar a lot. Is that the name?
Yeah.
What is it that you learn from him so much? What do you aspire from him?
Zig Ziglar is actually a seller. He started as a seller, and of course he also brought in the wife, and they started selling. But why I like that book of Zig Ziglar is because that gentleman is really honest. He tells you how selling is very hard. He tells you how you need to prepare yourself as you're going to sell, and actually he gives a story when his first day in selling, when he went out, he approached a certain apartment, and when he knocked at the door and they opened and they asked him, what do you want? How he started shaking and what, but he started babbling words, and eventually gained confidence and he started selling slowly. And then he talks about when you're a marketer or a seller, how you're supposed to work on yourself, because the first appearance is always the last impression. So when you're going out, you need to check your collar first, your belt, and the shoe. That's what he talks about. A collar of the shirt, the belt, and the shoe. And he talks about selling, that if you want to do good selling is supposed to be done between 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. After that, people are not interested in seeing anyone. And the other best day is also Friday afternoon, when people are thinking about the weekend, they are now in the relaxed mood, and then you approach them. And because of that, they end up giving you a big sale, which they were not planning to do because of the other. So the gentleman is actually very practical. That is why I like Zig Ziglar. It's very practical.
Michael, we are winding up. So one word Tell me, why should really somebody get their money and buy this? At how much, you say?
40,000 Uganda
At 40,000 Ugandan shillings, because it counts for something.
Yeah.
40,000 at this economy is something. Why should they buy a copy of this and have it in their house, on their bookshelf, and read it?
Why I actually advocate for every family to have this copy in their library is because when you get this book, right away from your child that you have, the child that you have will also gain from it. The youth, the teenager, the adult, even the parents will gain from it. And actually it talks about how can you stand out in all these challenges of life that we face. How do you stand out? That's a very major important thing. And that's why I actually advocate for everyone to get it, because of the standing out in all aspects of our lives, in all our age groups. That is why everyone should get it. You will not regret.
And so they are only going to be 2 for now. The books, why haven't you written like 40, 50?
I'm yet to write more, but I want to first major on this one so that I make the best-selling books in this country. And
is this your gold standard?
Yeah.
Is this your premium? Is this like, this is my top?
Yeah, that's my top book.
Okay.
That's my top book, and actually I'm already talking about it in churches, everywhere. I want it to be the best-selling book.
Well, Michael, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
I love your quote when he says that if you don't read, you don't write.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What a pleasure we have had having Michael on the show. Please look out for this book, The Goldmine of Potential. He also has another one called Breaking Marketing Pain. Bye and have a good evening. Take care.